Konnichiwa mina, boku wa Jeremy desu. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. And of course, it is another Monday, and it is another episode of Sailor Moon Crystal, Season 3, the Infinity Arc, and we are still in Volume 7 of the manga with Sailors Uranus on the front, and lots of stuff was going on in this episode, and there's lots of small changes too. So let's get started. Basically, it continues off from where they were last time. They're in the greenhouse just after destroying Teru or whatever, and Chibiusa runs over to Sailor Pluto. She's like, "Oh my god, you're alive!" And Pluto explains that it was because of a little bit of help of Neo Queen Serenity's power that she was reborn with a new mission. So Chibi Moon remarks, "Oh, she's different from the Pluto that I knew." And so that was really neat. Now, this is where Sailor Moon turns into Neo Queen Serenity, or Princess Serenity, I guess. And the interesting thing about it is that they change a bit of the dialogue, or who says it. In the manga, it's Sailor Pluto that's kind of speaking for the three outer senshi. In the episode, it was Sailor Uranus, which kind of makes sense because it does kind of make it more cohesive, since Haruka was kind of the one that was interacting with Usagi the most. So having her speak to them would make sense. I think originally it was more so because Pluto already knew them and it was more familiar. So just an interesting way of changing it up there. Now, I think it's probably for better flow, is what they're saying. So they explain what their new mission is. Basically, they have to stop the deity of destruction. In the original anime, they called her the Messiah of Silence. Same sort of thing. Now, one of the things that they had in the manga was they're talking about how Haruka and Michiru were going along, and they were pretending to be Mugen Academy students, but then Uranus says somebody got in the way, hinting about Sailor Mercury, of course, who basically gave away their stuff because they had to transform in front of her. And Neptune's like, "Haruka?" Which is funny because they are in senshi form. So they got rid of that kind of funny moment, and it just changed to a more somber thing of Uranus saying, "But that's impossible now." So, anyway, Neptune says that Uranus is both man and woman, a guardian with both sex and both strength. So very interesting subtitles there, whoever was subtitling it, with both sex and strength. So very good, both sex and both strength. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's really, really funny. Just how it came across. That's the line of the episode, we'll call it, I suppose. So the Senshi want to fight with them, the Inner Senshi and Sailor Moon want to fight with them, but they're like, "No, this is our jurisdiction, this is what we're going to do, we're stronger than you, stay out of our way, blah, 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 blah," which kind of doesn't sit very well with everybody. Anyway, so Mamoru, or Tuxedo Kamen, asks them about their talismans, and then Mars steps in too and says that they've been having these dreams to stay away from them. The outer senshi say that their talismans are to stop the deity of destruction. So then they go from there, and it switches over to a scene so familiar to everybody, with Usagi waking up late, trying to get ready for school. Chibiusa's watching TV with Kenji Papa, and this is where it's different too, probably a sign of the times. Instead of him reading a newspaper like back in 1993, 94, 95, whenever they were doing, in the 90s, when this was written, it was all newspaper, but now it's television news. Newspapers are kind of, they're still around, but there's more people watching stuff on TV and online and all that stuff too. So I'm kind of surprised they didn't do a computer thing, but anyway. So they're talking about the professor, and Kenji Papa was saying that he was once a renowned scholar of genetic engineering about 7 or 8 years ago, and so they're like, okay, that's a little bit odd. So in the manga, it switches over to Game Crown, and Mamoru's at the computer looking at stuff, but in the episode, it ended up being Luna and Artemis, with Mamoru in the background standing behind Usagi and Ami, and they're all talking about how this is like really weird, and then Luna's like, I want Chibiusa to go and investigate, or to go and keep an eye on Hotaru. She's like, "I'm not suspectful of her, I just want, you to go and check on the situation," because of course she's in the Tomoe Labs, and so they're like, "Now as a guardian, can you do it? It could be dangerous, it could be painful." But in the anime, it was Usagi that went down to her level, kind of like motherly. And this whole episode, they did a lot of motherly moments between her and Chibiusa, which was really, really well done. So Chibiusa's like, "All right, I'll do my best." Now in the manga it switches right over to Kaori Knight in front of Pharaoh 90, talking about the lights and all that stuff, but they skip over that scene and go straight to the laboratory one afterwards, so it's kind of a scene switch where Kaori Knight is talking, or Kaori-kun as the professor calls her, is kind of staring off into space thinking about things, and then he realizes she's distracted, and he's like, oh, well, you know, you're, or my main job is my research, and you know, you're supposed to be taking care of this and get rid of the Sailor Senshi that the Pharaoh, or the Master, seems to be so engrossed with. And Fong, don't you dare! And my cat is at the base of the camera, I don't want him to knock it over. Anyways, so Kaori Knight is upset visibly, and then it switches over to the scene that was originally before it, where she's talking to Pharaoh 90, who's talking about all the stuff that's going on, and Kaori Knight's realizing, she's like, what's about to happen? Maybe we're trapped in this light thing that's going on. So she taps on the fountain, and Cyprine appears. Now Cyprine would have appeared in the scene after in the laboratory, dressed in a lab coat as well. But in this, they just have her in her witch's uniform, and Kaori Knight tells her to go to make up for the witches 5. She's the last one basically, and she needs to make up for their failure, which she pledges to do at level 999. And so Kaori Knight gives her the Tauron crystal, or a little amulet, kind of like Hotaru has, and she says to use it to flesh out the anomalies. Now, she calls them anomalies, but you can clearly see that she knows that they're Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune. But she doesn't say that to Cyprine. It's really, really strange that she doesn't mention that. And later on, as Cyprine attacks Haruka, she watches her transform into Sailor Uranus, and then she's like, I had no idea that you were Sailor Senshi. Really weird kind of thing going on there, but maybe it was on purpose. Who knows? Kaori Knight is kind of weird. So, anyway, Cyprine, it switches over to the Tsukino household, and Chibiusa announces that she's going to go to a movie. And Usagi in the manga is all freaking out. She's like, who are you going with? Is it Mamoru-chan? And Chibiusa's like, it's a secret. And so they have a kind of funny little moment there, but they get rid of that, and Chibiusa just immediately tells her it's Hotaru, and so it allows for a more sweet mother-daughter connection moment when they're talking about Hotaru and the friendship and stuff, so that was kind of nice to see that. And I still like the little comedic moments here and there, especially to lighten such dark times, but it's a nice little sweet moment, so the sweet moments are good as well. So in this time, Kenji Papa mentions that he's like, oh look, there's the what's this? It's really pretty, and he's holding the Holy Grail, which Chibiusa then mentions that Usagi and Mamoru made for her. And again, in the manga, Kenji Papa, as soon as he heard Mamoru's name, he's like, who's this guy? You know, like a father would be with a boyfriend type thing. But he doesn't do that. He just stays calm. And so Chibiusa is explaining to him, and Diana looks at Luna, and she's like, hey, look at her, she's becoming a guardian, isn't she? And it's kind of a cutesy moment. So Chibiusa goes to the movie place, waiting on Hotaru, because Hotaru had invited her to go to movies or go hang out and do something. In the manga, Chibiusa's friends are there, Momo, Kyosuke, and so on, but in the anime they don't. They just bypass that. Chibiusa's wondering why Hotaru is late, and we see a brief little picture of Hotaru going under as Professor Tomoe is going to work on her. And so Chibiusa thinks that she might have had an attack, so she gives her a call to her private room number, nothing. Who has a private phone at that age in their room? Well, I don't know. I don't really know how old Hotaru is. I think she's around, like, she's older than Chibiusa, but she's roughly around that age, but still. She has her own line in her room. Who's going to call her? I mean, she already says that she doesn't have a lot of friends. It's sad, but I mean, it's true. Like, bizarre. Maybe it's there to contact her dad or something if something goes wrong, but we've seen that she just immediately falls down when something happens. So to me, it's just a little bit odd. But anyway, so Chibiusa decides that she's going to go and check her out and see what's going on. She accidentally sees Hotaru with just her underwear and stuff on, so she sees all of the stuff in her arms, all of the lack of like veins and all that, and how her arms are bloodless and cold. And Hotaru didn't want anybody to see that, let alone Chibiusa, because she finally made a friend. And we see this really poignant, sad moment where Hotaru remembers the fire, and she remembers her mother coming after her, and then, of course, her mother dies. And Hotaru wakes up, and her father had given her new parts of her body because of what happened, and she wasn't able to make friends because she was different. And now she finally has a friend, and she scared her away. And then all of a sudden, the three outers, or Haruka, Michiru, and Setsuna, appear as images outside her door, and she throws the Tidon crystal amulet that her father gave her at them, and they disappear. And then she's just really upset. Meanwhile, Chibiusa is walking along, and she feels really bad because Hotaru had told her that she had been burned, and how she reacted was really, really horrible. It starts to hail, and in the manga, Chibiusa's energy starts getting sucked out, and everybody's getting hit with this kind of evil energy. But in the anime, her brooch with the silver crystal protects her from it, and then Usagi's does as well when Mamoru's with her, so he gets protected as well. And so this hail's coming down, and then Haruka realizes what's going on, and Cyprine appears in front of Haruka, and Haruka changes into Sailor Uranus, and like I said, she's like, what the hell, I didn't realize you were Senshi, and then Michiru and Setsuna realize something's going on, so they all come, and they're all facing off against Cyprine. The inner Senshi are watching from the computer's room at Game Crown, so they decide to go even though Makoto's against it. And she's like, there's no need for us to help them. And then Usagi comes racing in with Mamoru and Chibiusa, and she shows real leadership quality, and she's like, we have to do this. You know, they've looked out for us. Come on, we got to do this. So we got to save everyone. So they show up at the scene, and Mars uses snake fire in the manga, and then they all get basically caught together by Cyprine. The three outers are together, and then the inners are together. And Cyprine uses her talisman, or her little Tidon crystal, to turn the Senshi against each other, but again, Sailor Moon's brooch protects her from it, and the others all want to kill each other. So we see Mercury Aqua Mist, Mars Burning Mandala, Venus Love Me Change, all stopped by Neptune's mirror, which was probably submarine reflection. And then Sailor Moon decides to try to intervene with the Moon Spiral Heart Attack, but it does nothing. The Tidon crystal stops it and kind of splits Cyprine and Pitlal into two. Like, Cyprine is one witch, but then she's got like the secondary part to her, which is really weird. I never really understood why. But Cyprine, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze again. Excuse me. Every time I'm up here, I sneeze. Anyway, so Cyprine mentions to Sailor Uranus, my cat is looking so cute right now, I wish you guys could see this. He's on a little scratch post. She says that she's, excuse me, she's level 999, but the way she says it is level 39, like 3 9s, but it sounds like 39, but it's level 999. Very weird. So Chibiusa comes and she tries to use Pink Sugar Heart Attack, which again does nothing. Again, it's kind of like a funny attack, but not as monumentally ridiculous as it was as a joke all through Sailor Moon S in the original anime, but it doesn't do anything. Jupiter turns around and goes to hit her with what looks like Coconut Cyclone, and Tuxedo Command protects her and basically takes a direct hit to his back, but he takes it pretty well. And that would have sent original anime Tuxedo Command probably flying or something. I mean, come on, let's be honest. He's a lot stronger in this one. So Usagi's watching all this, and she's like, do we all really want to kill each other secretly? And she's like, no, you know, those three have watched over us, and they've tried to help us, so let's have our hearts combine. And our Tuxedo Command and Chibiusa come over, and the royal family essentially combines their hearts, and the Holy Grail appears, the real Holy Grail, and Sailor Moon's moon appears, and she starts to transform, and of course that's where they end it, and that is where it ends in the manga as well. So she's going to turn into Super Sailor Moon in the next episode, which is going to be really, really good, and I'm looking forward to it. So lots of small changes that aesthetically make sense. The episode flows a lot better with it, and so I'm really happy that they did that. And it follows the source material really well. Just little things, but I mean, I managed to get a full page full of notes again, and that's what I always do is I'm watching it, just kind of write it all down really quickly. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode as much as I did too. Next week is, of course, Super Sailor Moon. We're getting really close to the end of the S arc. There's going to be, I think, either another episode or another chapter that's split into 2, because that would make sense for the 14 episodes, or it's going to maybe have a special or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens eventually, but it's coming along. So thank you guys. Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoy these reviews. I also got a haircut too, so it kind of didn't work out exactly as I was expecting it, but it's still going to be nice for the summer. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.